Most of the time the lavalier is not needed. You just shout and they respawn.
Good evening. Can you hear me in the back? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Louder? Hello. Test. 1, 2. Is that better? I'll try to talk louder. Okay. So, good evening. I'm Brandon Baer. I work as a full-stack software engineer at Multitech, and we make devices for the industrial Internet of Things. So I have 2 goals with this little lightning talk. 1, I want to demystify the server. And 2, I want to inspire you to spin up your own server. So, what's a server? How would you answer that question? What is a server? Well, to me, a server is a computer without a monitor in a data center somewhere, generally running as a virtual machine. It'll typically run a version of Linux like Ubuntu 14.04 and have a web server like Apache or Nginx with web files like HTML files in var www. So that's pretty much it. That's what a web server is. It really helped me to understand, or it took me a while to kind of understand what a server is. It was kind of this mystery to me. And when I realized it's just a computer, the mystery kind of all went away. It's just like you go to the store, buy a desktop computer, install Linux on it, and hide it in a closet, and you have a server. So let's set one up. We're going to go to DigitalOcean.com, which I host my own site on. I love DigitalOcean. It's a great online environment for setting up your servers where you have full access to them. Different than Heroku, if you're familiar with that. So, create a droplet. We will use the one-click install so that some of the basic software is set up for us. Use the smallest size. Defaults. Add my SSH key. And then it'll create a brand new server for me. It'll take about a minute or less. So once it gets booted up, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this index.html file over to the server. And I'm going to use this utility called SCP. And if you're familiar with the command line, SCP is the SSH version of CP. So you're literally just copying a file over the internet to the server. So we're going to copy this file, and the default user is root, and then we'll need the IP address, which is right here. And then we're going to copy this to the default location. Which is right there. See if it works. Sometimes SSH connections can take a little bit. So there we go. So now our server, or our file, our static file is on the server, ready to go. So now to view it, all you have to do is get the IP address and go. It worked. So next we're going to spin up a little Express Hello World. So we're going to install NVM from the GitHub documentation. All right, NVM is installed, so we have to source the, let's see, which file is this? This is bash rc, I believe. Well, we'll do a shortcut, bash. Oh, I haven't, oops. I have to SSH into the server first. That will help. Okay, so now we're on the server. I just installed NVM on my laptop, which was already there. So now we can install NVM on the server. There we go. So now we source the bash so that NVM is ready to go. Now we install Node using NVM install 6, which will install the latest version of Node 6. All right, there we go. So now we can do npm install express. And then once that gets installed, we are going to take the hello world code from the expressjs.com website and stick that in a file. App.js. There we go. So now we can run this little file using node app.js, and there we go, it's working. Our app is listening on port 3000. So how do we look at it? Well, we have this IP address, right? So now it's running on port 3000. Type in port 3000, and we have hello world. There you go. That's setting up your own server on DigitalOcean. So for the curious, you can have multiple sites on a single server, especially if they're static files, static website files. It's very easy to put many different sites on a single server. You just have to configure your server to match on the domain name to point to a different directory. General server logs are in var log on the Linux machine. That's kind of a standard Linux convention. If you want to start something on boot, which right now this is not going to start on boot. If we reboot it, it's not going to be running. Node will not be running. So you have to set up what's called an init script. So that's kind of an advanced topic, and you can find documentation on that. You can also set up SSL for free thanks to let'sencrypt.org, and I would highly recommend that. I think that every site should be SSL encrypted. So just a little more for DigitalOcean, so you know what you might be getting into. The pricing starts at $5 a month, which is very reasonable in my opinion. I have lots of one-click installs, so it makes it very easy to install WordPress or Discourse or Ruby on Rails or pretty much anything else you can think of. They have amazing documentation and community support, so it's pretty easy to find out how to do whatever you want to do. So you can sign up at digitalocean.com, or if you want to get 2 free months, you can use my referral code, bear.ws/do. And that's all I have. Is there any questions?
Do they limit like how much RAM or
Yes. Yes. So the lowest starts at like 512 megabyte of RAM, and if you try to install multiple node processes on that lowest thing and you start getting errors, you probably need to increase your size so you have more memory. Yes.
Do they offer any database services?
Yes. Well, not like plug and play database that I'm aware of. Like you can install MySQL on your server and you have a database right there. Yeah. Anything else? Other questions? bear.ws/do. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.